What is up everyone, Diluc here with another Genshin Impact video. With 1.3 right around the corner and Ganyu's banner coming to an end, many players are wondering whether they should get Ganyu or save for Zhao and other future characters. So in today's video, I figured I would share my final thoughts about the Coco Goat, and I will review her possible builds, playstyle, as well as try to establish if she's worth pulling or not. So let's get started. Okay, so here's my Ganyu. She is level 80 with her charge attacks maxed out, level 10, her E is level 6, and her burst is level 8. If you're going for a support build, I think that level 8 on the burst is just enough and you probably don't have to invest further. However, on a main DPS build, maxing out her autos is going to be insanely valuable because you push the multiplier of the Frostflake arrow up to 622% every 2 seconds. Surprisingly, it is well above something like Diluc's E at level 10, which is 578% on a 10-second cooldown. Now, this isn't a very fair comparison because we can't ignore the power of Vaporize with Diluc, but Ganyu definitely competes with this type of damage output because she also has the ability to double the damage with Melt. As for her Constellations, she is just fine at C0, but I was lucky enough to pull her C1, and it is definitely one of her best constellations because it brings both utility with the energy recharge and DPS with the Cryo Shred. This is obviously oriented towards a charge shot build, so I wouldn't necessarily recommend pulling for C1 if you run her as a support. Her C2 gives an extra taunt, which is good for utility, and it ties in with C6 that depends on it. Her C3 is a level increase on her burst. Now, her C4 is arguably the only constellation that really buffs her support capabilities by increasing the damage taken from opponents that stand in her burst. Her C5 is a level increase on her E skill, and her C6 is hand down the most OP constellation she has because it gives you an instant Frostflake arrow after casting your E. With 2 charges, you can basically deal well over 1200% damage in a matter of 1 or 2 seconds. All in all, her constellations are pretty busted, but she definitely performs amazingly without them. For the artifacts as a main carry, you can go with 4-piece Wanderer's Traup, 4-piece Blizzard Strayer, or even 4-piece Retracing Bolide if you have a shielding unit. I'm personally running the Wanderer's Traup, but it was so painful to farm that I would not even recommend it unless you are at least level 55 with lots of resin to waste. But no matter what set you decide to use, you'll want to use a Cryo Goblet, an attack percent timepiece, and a crit rate or crit damage circlet. I'm personally going for crit damage since my substats have enough crit rate. Also keep in mind that she gets a 20% increase in crit rate from her Ascension 1 passive. If you are running Blizzard Strayer or the Cryo Resonance, you'll get even more. The main focus on substats are crit multipliers and attack percent, as well as Elemental Mastery if you want to go for reactions. For burst support, running a 2-piece Blizzard Strayer with 2-piece Noblesse will maximize your damage. The full set of Blizzard Strayer is also amazing if you use her as a support for Permafreeze comp with Child or Jingshou. For the main stats, I'm personally using a crit rate circlet, Cryo Goblet, and an energy recharge timepiece, which is very important. The substat priority is energy recharge, crit multipliers, and attack percent. For the weapons, as a main DPS, Ganyu will obviously do best with Ammo's Bow, which is made specifically for buffing her charge attacks. Scout with ARP is also an amazing option as it gives a lot of crit multipliers and a high base attack. And the other best option for a charge shot build would be the Prototype Crescent, one of the craftable weapons at the blacksmith, which is great for free-to-play players and low spenders. It's quite hard to refine, but at Refinement 5 I'm sure it can rivalize with the Ammo's Bow quite well. Now for a support build, Ganyu will do best with lots of energy recharge, so going for a Sacrificial Bow or Favonius Warbow will definitely help with keeping her elemental burst up all the time, and the Stringless is also an amazing option to boost her skill and burst damage. Okay, so now that we have a firm understanding of her 2 main playstyles, I will point out their strengths and weaknesses. In terms of sub DPS and support build, her Elemental Burst will work for many team comps. For Superconduct comps with Physical Kaching or Razor, she will constantly apply Cryo and open opportunity windows for Superconduct procs. For Frozen comps with Child or Jingshou, she will be extremely valuable because you will be able to freeze in such a big radius that enemies will never get to you. Lastly, for Melt comps, she is also amazing for AoE cryo applications. However, reverse melt happen pretty often on her burst because her ice shards are quite random. It will require slightly more awareness and knowledge of elemental reactions and internal cooldowns to master melt comps with her. So as a support for elemental reaction teams, her kit will work amazingly with them and it doesn't have many drawbacks. The investment cost is also pretty low since Noblesse and Blizzard Trade are fairly accessible and plus 16 artifacts will do the job. Now for her main DPS build, this is where you're going to squeeze out the charge attack damage, and she is probably one of the best units in the game so far. If you enjoy a rather clunky charge attack gameplay, she is well worth the high investment cost. Having the ability to melt on a 2-second cooldown with a 620 multiplier makes her damage ceiling well above most other units. Even without melt, she performs exceedingly well as long as you are mindful of your positioning because she is very squishy. Running her with a shield is a good solution, but most of them will obstruct your vision when aiming down with the bow. This is also why I wouldn't recommend the 4-piece retracing bow light on her. Okay, so to sum up, Ganyu is an amazing unit that offers 2 distinct playstyles. Her charged attacks have one of the most potent damage output in the game, but they are tied to the AMA mechanic, which is disliked by many because of its clunkiness and higher skill gap. In my opinion, this higher skill gap, the hyper investment, plus her low base defensive stats are trade-offs that are well worth the results. However, if you can't really deal with those trade-offs, her sub DPS capabilities are also insanely powerful. The huge AoE cryo applications from her burst that can be up at all time definitely make her a top tier burst support / sub DPS unit that can also bring utility with her taunt. Now the big question, is she worth pulling? I would always recommend trying out the characters first to see if you personally enjoy them, but you should also consider the future banners that got announced like Zhao and Keqing, which are units that you may enjoy a bit more. But if you like her design, her kit, how she feels in game, and have the required resources, you should definitely go for it. Now that's gonna be it for my final thoughts on Ganyu. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.